For this tutorial, we're going to do some simple editing to make a stronger silhouette photo. So the first thing that you need to do is open your before image. You can use the photo that I've included, or you can use your own. And we are going to go down to adjust and filter. And you're really going to have to play around with these to get what you want. But I would pay attention to contrast, blacks, exposures, brightness. And then once you get those set, you can go in and play with hue, temperature, tint, vibrance, saturation. First thing that you need to decide is, are you going to do this in a black and white photo or a color? So if we were doing it in a black and white photo, we would click black and white. And then I would move right down to contrast, and I would move my contrast all the way up. Then I can play around with exposure so that I could see the textures in the background. It really depends on what you want this to look like. So this would be an example of a black and white silhouette. So when I save this, I want to name it Silhouette BW or black and white. So I have a copy of the black and white. And I'm going to show you how to do a color version as well. So I am going to click undo so I can get my color version back. And same thing, I'm going to be in adjust and filter, but this time I'm going to leave it in color. And I'm still going to play around with contrast and maybe the blacks and the exposures, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to remove some of that color that is showing through on the subject. So I'm kind of really trying just to play around to make it really dark. And it's pretty close there. I can still see some red, but it's got a really nice silhouette look to it. So now I can scooch back up and I can play around with color vibrance. I can play around with saturation, can play around with temperature or tint or hue, and I can really find what I'm looking for. I can always scroll back down and replay around with that brightness and exposure and contrast, those blacks and whites and things like that. So once I am happy with what I've done here with the color, I'm going to save it again, and this time I should call it black and white color. Download it, and when you look in your downloads, you should be able to see your original version, your black and white version, and your color version.